So it is important for us to understand the things to expect. Growth in the kingdom is not a mystery. No, there are many mysteries in the kingdom. Growth is not one of them. Growth in the kingdom is systemic. That means you must understand how God increases people. Luke chapter 2 and 52, speaking about Jesus, said, and Jesus grew or increased, and he began to list the dimensions in wisdom, in stature, in favor with God and with men. When you study the life of Jesus through the synoptic gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke and John, and even a few revelations that came from the Pauline epistles, then Revelations, the book of Revelations, when you study it, it lists in details the activities and the pathway that Jesus followed to have stature as a man. Are we together? That is why the Bible can confidently tell us to follow in his steps. It can confidently tell us to look unto Jesus. If there were nothing to see, he would not say we should look. Are we together? So the first thing that conferences like this, not just this conference, any apostolic and prophetic conference across any region, especially the southeast, we must have it at the back of our mind that every time God calls for a prophetic convergence like this, he expects the following to happen to the people. Number one, conferences like these are intended to equip us with the truths that help us to live effective Christian lives. This is the first thing we need to understand. Our spiritual efficiency is the first port of call. Are we together? No matter what you discuss in a conference, it does not matter the theme of the conference, whether it is a crusade, whether it is a prosperity conference, whether it's some kind of believers gathering, it does not matter the caption. If there is the absence of the communication of truths that make for the spiritual efficiency of the believer, that conference did not capture everything. So, in order of priority, conferences like this should be platforms where we are exposed to the truths that help us to live effective Christian lives. Number two, conferences like this should allow for access. It helps us to access the empowerment to fan the flames of evangelism and the maturity of believers within that territory. You must take note of this. The second goal of apostolic and prophetic conferences such as these is to fan the flames of evangelism and to fan the flames of the maturity of the saints through transformation. That means whatever happens in this conference should equip and empower us. That means at the end of this conference, if we are to rate this conference as successful, we do not rate it using the indices of crowds alone or the indices of the presence of an anointed man. No, we will have to check for the indices of the efficiency in evangelism and soul winning after the conference is done. To what end does this conference contribute to souls coming to Jesus? I don't care what is said in the conference. If it does not translate to perpetual and in increment a harvest of souls, then that conference did not do much. On one hand, evangelism; on another hand, the maturity of the saints within that territory. Hallelujah. Yes. Usually in conferences like this, at least half of the people that attend the conferences are already believers or pastors or people who have already attained a level of stature in the spirit. So they are supposed to be empowered. There should be the effect of a heightened manifestation of soul winning and then maturity of believers. It means that without apostolic conferences like this, the rate of growth and maturity of believers within a territory will be very slow.